Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true. Little Ochi Seafood Restaurant in Alligator Pond closed by Health Department. The popular Little Ochi Seafood Restaurant in Alligator Pond in Manchester has been ordered closed by the Health Department. The order took effect on May 3rd. The Southern Regional Health Authority says the closure was ordered as a result of breaches of the public health and its regulations. It did not disclose details of the breaches. Man accused of rape and murder rearrested after absconding bail. A man accused of murder and rape who was reportedly abscond bailed has turned himself in, the police say. 33-year-old Russian partisan of Half River in Lucy, Hanover, reported to the Lucy police station yesterday within 24 hours of the Jamaica Constabulary Force alerting the public. The police say he was arrested and placed in custody. Patterson is being tried for murder, attempted murder and rape. He is scheduled to appear before the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court on Tuesday, May 31. Demolition halted again at St. Thomas Building after discovery of human remains. The St. Thomas police have again halted the demolition exercise being carried out by a team from the parish's municipal corporation at the Loyal James Lodge premises in Morant Bay. They say this is to facilitate further investigations into the discovery of some 7 skulls and several other skeletal remains to be that of humans since the start of the activity on Sunday. The latest find by workers showed where they discovered 3 skulls and additional bones. Head of the operations of the St. Thomas Police, Deputy Superintendent Oni Thompson, told reporters that the police have taken a vested interest in the matter. There are calls for further investigation into the scene. While we don't want to call it a crime scene, it is an area of interest and the site has been cornered off, he stated. Thompson said the police are yet to identify a person of interest. He said postmortems have been ordered. The property's caretaker, a former officer of the St. Thomas Fire Brigade for more than 30 years, who declined to have his name published, has said while he was aware that the building was due to demolition, he was surprised at the grisly discoveries. An elderly resident who requested not to be named said that she recalled 3 lodges operating from the space, 2 of which have been defunct since the 1970s. The third, she said, was shut down about 7 years ago. Demolition workers have found documents they say give a glimpse into the lodge operations at the church in the 1970s. Don't let public suffer more, PM urges NWC workers. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has appealed to striking National Water Commission workers to return to work because they now have the attention of the government regarding their valid concerns.
I also take this opportunity to make an appeal to the workers and leadership of the NWC to return to work and to get back to manning our water stations and returning water, this essential commodity, to our citizens, to our businesses, to our schools, hospitals, and all our endeavors in making Jamaica a place that is growing, that is prosperous. We do understand and believe that there are valid concerns by the workers and staff of the NWC. We do understand that there may be issues of trust and confidence involved in the relationship between the workers and the government. We acknowledge that at some point the workers would have to get the attention of the government. And I believe that the attention has been gotten. We are in negotiations. We have been in negotiations since yesterday. Having that now being established, that we are negotiating, we are discussing and coming to conclusion and hopefully solutions, that it would be in the interest of all that the water supply is returned. In other words, Now that we are at the table, we are discussing, there is no need for the public to continue to suffer. Right now as we speak, I'm getting several calls from businesses, from schools, from hospitals, that they are at serious risk. Hotels have been saying that they're trying to relocate guests into other areas where water supply is available. Many of them, their backup supplies are running low. So I start at this point in making an appeal to their workers. Jamaica is one boat, and if there is a hole in the boat, we are all at risk of sinking. I think that has to be the consideration for every Jamaican. Yes, your particular situation might be different, probably worse than others. But it makes no sense to jeopardize everything else. We are right at the cusp of taking off as a country. Coming out of a crisis, being the pandemic, then being hit by another one of which we had nothing to do with, a geopolitical issue, which has created even further dislocation in commodity markets, in particular energy, having to be dealing with inflation. But yet, the country is reporting increased employment, even more than before the pandemic. We are seeing the tourist arrivals increasing almost back to pre-pandemic levels. We're seeing economic activity taking off. We should not be the ones creating a crisis to sink our own ship. The history of our country, as we look at celebrating our 60th year of independence, is that there has always been an antagonistic relationship with labor and employers. It is defined in the 1930s. It is a part of how independent Jamaica evolved. But that past does not have to define our future. And indeed, we have made great progress in our industrial relations. And I stand here and I would like to commend the unions for having displayed great enlightenment and understanding. And in particular, in the last decade, when we managed to form greater partnership and alliance in coming to the fiscal rescue of the country. We have grown a lot since the 1930s in our industrial relations. A lot. And I believe that Jamaica is still a great example of how the social partnership works. So I was a little bit concerned when an industrial action is taken and there was no notice given, so that we could put measures in place to ameliorate the effects of such actions. We're a little bit concerned. We consider water to be an essential commodity. We consider it to be an essential service. In the order of things, we must establish that this is the case. So I've asked the Attorney General to advise the government on the position as to whether or not the NWC is an essential service and how those workers would be classified. I just need to know and understand that. It is the belief that we have, but we want to just confirm it from a legal point of view. Because Jamaica is still a country of law and order. So once we have established that, then we will know how to proceed in this regard. The government wants to ensure that we have always industrial peace and harmony. And so we have been moving in a very deliberative way. We hear all the calls. People are very worried about this looming crisis of not having their regular water supply. We have given instructions to the JDF to prepare the Army Corps of Engineers to support the NWC management in returning the supply systems to operations. But that is not our first line. That is a course of action that the government must take in order to protect the national interest. But our first course of action is to appeal to the NWC workers to return to work and return the water supply. Negotiations are ongoing, so there is really now no need for the public to be deprived of the essential commodity. I have been speaking to the Minister of Finance and to the Minister of Labour, and my understanding is that they are making steady progress towards a solution. I want to assure Jamaicans that we're doing everything possible to return water supply to those areas that now don't have water supply. And in fact, the reports I'm receiving would be that some areas have already started to receive water. The public should be aware, however, that once the systems are turned off, it does take some time for them to be recharged and for the service to be returned. The NWC system is quite complex, and it is not merely a matter of turning on the valves once they have been turned off. It is quite a complex operation. And we acknowledge as well that we can't just go and turn on any valve. We don't know which valves control where. And so even though we have mobilized the engineers, it is with the understanding that this has to be done with the cooperation of the technical persons at the NWC. So the government has to act, and that means, one, we have to understand the basic order of how these industrial actions should take place, meaning we have to establish the legal basis on which these industrial actions occur. Secondly, we have to ensure that whatever backup plans that those are mobilized, and that would also include the mobilization of the JDF Corps of Engineers to support whatever restoration and rehabilitation plans that are there. And thirdly, we have to intensify our efforts at negotiation to come to a solution. So again, I make the appeal to the workers of the NWC. It is in your interest, it is in the country's interest that we do not precipitate and create a crisis of our own making to damage the growth and revenue of the economy, which ultimately that is what we will be relying on to ensure that everyone's interests can be addressed.
Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.